Speaking of leadership, why did Elizabeth Warren need to step out and do this a year after inauguration? You know what I mean?
Well, why isn't it happening all the time?
And
Quite
why isn't it
frankly.
happening all the time?
You know
Exactly.
what I mean? It's just sort of like, and it's at the National Press Club. It's like, couldn't be more insider. It couldn't be less of a venue that anybody cares about outside of the 202. It's just sort of a whole thing. But
It worked though. I mean, I have to give credit to
yeah,
Warren. It worked, you know?
yeah,
And
absolutely. But the thing is, again, but it's like, what comes next?
yeah,
We don't live
agreed.
in a media economy where one thing is going to get a job done. Like
Yes.
every single day. This is a 365 conversation.
Welcome to Twigg and Jenkins. We're kicking it old school, guys. This is the way Twigg and Jenkins started, you know, the kind of old school Zoom. And Twigg and I have been pretty much dead to the world, sick with flu, separately. Twigg, I think you had the flu first, correct?
I got in Miami.
You got it in Miami. I got it and I'm just getting over it. I was pretty much on my ass for a full week, like 4 or 5 days. And so we apologize that we're coming a little late to you guys. We missed probably the most eventful first week
of Jan in a minute.
in American history. Has there been more stuff that happened in the first week of January in recent memory? I can't remember.
Who's the president that died after getting sick at their inauguration? Harding or something?
I think it was Harding. Yeah, poor guy. He didn't wear a coat.
That was a pretty eventful start.
Yeah, he pretty much made the case for every mom to say, if you don't wear a coat, you will catch pneumonia and you will die.
Harrison, not Harding.
That's really what President Harrison did for America, is he tried to look cool and he didn't wear a coat. Carri, Twigg, where do we start? How are you feeling? First off, health check. You're drinking coffee. You look great.
Tea.
Oh,
Thank
tea.
you. Yeah, I've had a lot of coffee today. So switching to tea. I'm feeling good, man. You know, I mean, I think the big question of the last couple of weeks heading into this auspicious January of 2026, about to be the Lunar New Year, you know, is like, is the tide turning on President Trump? There definitely seems to be a bit of a sea change attitudinally around him. So I'm sort of reading those tea leaves everywhere I can and clinging to the hope that that's true. I mean, we still have to fundamentally confront and deal with the reality that they hold so many levers to power. And so even if attitudes of the people who are paying attention have shifted a little bit, like how does that translate into real power? But I'm feeling pretty good. You know, it's been a really rough start of the year. Everything we're watching happening in Minneapolis, like the kind of terrorism in Venezuela, like everything we're sort of watching, the kind of violence of this administration domestically and abroad is unfolding. But it's been an interesting thing to start to see a tide turn. What do you think?
It's been a really rough week. I got, you know, there's this feeling of, you and I have been talking about this since inauguration. Are we underreacting? Like, there's so much distraction. This is the way in which, you know, fascism is able to succeed, is that there's so much distraction. And the distraction is typically culture. The distraction is right now the NFL playoffs, the Golden Globes, right? The Oscars race, name one thing after another. And meanwhile, what took place in Minneapolis, I still don't think it's comparable to the Charlie Kirk shooting. I felt like ill. Like I felt sick to my stomach, not just in the murder of Good, but in the just outright lies that this administration peddled with no with no shame, with absolute the shameless fucking lies that this administration across the board, there was not a single person, Republican or otherwise, that was able to be honest with the American public on what just took place. And it's the kind of thing where, you do feel like it's a powder keg. You do feel like how could things potentially get worse? And the fact that, you know, 4 DOJ officials resigned this morning because the DOJ Civil Rights Division is refusing to investigate. The fact that no Republican has called on this administration for peddling lies, lie after lie after lie after lie. And when you have video evidence that it's just like, no, bro, this is actually what happened. Do you want to watch the content of what happened? It's like, Twigg, how should a rational person internalize this and then go on with their day? You know what I mean? Go on with whatever's happening in their life, realizing that this administration just does not give a fuck about facts and about truth, Anyway.
I'm going to take that question as fully rhetorical because I have no answers.
It's tough. It's a tough way to begin the year. I felt like there was a really great Instagram post, which was like 2026. I got my 7-day preview period, and I'd like to not proceed with my subscription to 2026. Mm-hmm. Right? It's like we got 7 days in, and we're in it. We're in what I imagine, especially with these midterms coming up, to be a complete and utter shit show of lies, misinformation, and violence. And so we sort of just have to gird ourselves for it, Twigg. Not to start the podcast with
use of the word gird.
With ominous tones, but
I mean, we have to. And yeah. I do think everything that we've been ranting about, in addition to your point around are we underreacting, the other half of that is, or I think so much of that underreaction or that tendency towards underreaction comes from this pervasive attitude of this guy can't be serious, right? This isn't serious. These people aren't serious. And so right. I'm not going to take them seriously. And one of the big things that happened this week that I think is really important for everyone to be paying attention to, not even just the substance of what he said, but the fact that he said it, is the Fed chair, Jerome Powell, filming a video in front of an American flag at a podium rebutting the Trump administration.
Yeah.
So Jerome Powell was first appointed by Donald Trump to be the Fed chairman. He's also on the board of governors of the Fed. He has been this antagonist to Donald Trump this entire presidency because Donald Trump wants him to lower the interest rates. Chairman Powell is like, I get it, and lowering interest rates almost always correlates to rising inflation. We can't actually endure any higher inflation at this moment. So now is not the time to lower interest rates in a dramatic way. He's shaved a couple quarter points off over the course of the last couple months, but he hasn't been willing to do more than that. That has really chapped Donald Trump's ass. He's all upset about it. So he's been leaning on and sort of denigrating Chairman Powell in the press, trying to force him to quit. And so Chairman Powell's term as the Fed chair is up in May, but he gets to sit on the board of governors for another year or two, I think. And he's a very influential economic figure in America. People listen to him. People take him really seriously. There's this massive sort of renovation of the Treasury building in D.C. that Donald Trump, of course, with his construction hat, has been all up in. It's right next to where the East Wing used to be. And it's the only thing that Donald Trump has potentially competent at. And so it's really an area he like takes very seriously. So Donald Trump put pressure on the FBI or the DOJ to investigate Chairman Powell over the expenses on these renovations as a way of trying to coerce him into quitting early. Chairman Powell comes out and is just like, time out. This entire investigation is political theater. This is entirely about the fact that I will not buckle to political pressure. And this is breaking precedent with the fact that the Fed has always been independent. It is one of the hallmarks of the American economy. It is why the American economy is kind of the global standard in the world. And Donald Trump is trying to fuck with that. And so the movement, this sort of high profile rebuttal, taking Donald Trump and his asinine, completely out of bounds, unethical, unprecedented actions, taking them seriously and rebutting them is so important. Because so often, so many leaders, and I don't think Chairman Powell's like a Democrat, he's like not of the left.
No.
But so many people who Trump has run afoul of have just been like, I'm going to dismiss that and therefore allow Trump to dominate the narrative. And so watching Chairman Powell come out and actually be like, no, this is what the narrative is. This is what is happening. And doing it in such a high profile, direct, antagonistic way is really, really important and very exciting.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, this is a guy that served under President H.W. Bush, right? Like in the Treasury Department. This is a guy that's served both Obama, Biden, and Trump. And this is a guy that just does not give a fuck. I mean, that's the thing, right?
Not about Donald Trump, you know?
Yeah, like this guy is completely unafraid. And this is really the telltale sign of a fascist and autocrat like Trump are the people that he surrounds himself with. And for the most part, actually, I would say for 99% of Trump's cabinet, he's appointed people that are not qualified for the job. Like that is the real DEI here. He's nominated and confirmed people whose loyalty to Trump is the most important thing. It's not their competence. It's not their experience. It's, will you be loyal to me? And in fact, your inexperience and your incompetence actually makes me want you even more because I know you are going to be even more loyal to me. And what Chairman Powell has done is a fucking middle finger. And what it truly does is it shames every single senior official in the federal government right now who's complicit with what's taking place. Because there are real people, right? I mean, real people, Twigg, that you and I know, who are standing by and watching someone turn our government into a personal piggy bank, turning our government into just a fucking full-on grifting media machine. And, you know, thank God that there are still people who have power, who are insulated, right? Like, Powell can't be fired. And there are other boards, there are other independent boards where that's the case, but they have flushed all of those people out. True public servants who've been serving on boards at like the FCC or the FEC, all these boards that are independent, there has been such direct political pressure on these people to be flushed out first through Doge, then through Stephen Miller, and through all of these people. What they want before anything else is loyalty. And God bless Powell. I'm really actually quite interested to see, has Trump responded to him? Because I feel like for the most part, Trump has not publicly fucked with this guy because he knows that this guy's bulletproof. You can't fire this guy.
That's not true. I mean, he's openly disparaged him to his face. And
Trump has or Powell has?
Trump has.
Oh, Trump has,
For a year. Ever since he became president, even beforehand. So he has been attempting to mess with Powell the entire time that he's been president.
Right.
So I don't know if I'm sure he's Truth Social or whatever about it, but this guy this is not the end of this saga between the two of them. But it's also another example. It's just, another example of this was the mayor of Minneapolis, who's, Mayor Fry, who, told ICE to get the fuck out of his city. And watching that sort of be treated by, and then also being unapologetic about it, right? So then Fox being like, how is that, is that professional? Is that mayoral for him to be speaking this way? And he's like, that's your concern? Like, that's disingenuous, So him incredibly unapologetically being very forceful about Donald Trump, about the fact that this is not the way to conduct business. It's not the way to run a city. It's not the way to run a train station, right? You had the local police chief of police in Minneapolis, even as ICE was first arriving, being like, guys, this represents an unnecessary escalation. They're out there, they're doing the podcast. There was a whole daily episode with the police chief of Minneapolis. So these guys really understand, and I think what we're starting to see is a level up of sophistication of the pushback, of understanding that figuring out how to dominate the narrative and get your narrative out into public consciousness is incredibly, incredibly important. And all of this is happening while they're pursuing strategies through the courts, while you have people on the ground protesting, while you have really good political organizing, meaningful political organizing happening. But finally, we're starting to see narrative resistance kicking into place and people understanding that it's not enough to just have people in the streets. It's not enough to just be challenging these things through court. It's not enough to just be trying to shield or pass new laws. We have to be thinking about what the narrative is in the public consciousness. And so that's something that represents a change to me for 2026, in that we are watching these leaders not only send out a press release, but hit back hard in massive public venues.
I think that that's right. I think that we say that, and also Chuck Schumer's capitulating. We also see Dan Goldman hobnobbing with Jared Kushner and Melania Trump. There are still people in the Democratic Party who we hope find a spine. Hakeem Jeffries, where are you? Should we put out a wanted poster for your leadership at this point? I think you're right. I think the Minneapolis mayor is a perfect example. I also think that, Zoran just recently, right? Willing to take on national issues, willing to speak out on national issues. We just need more courage. There's no other way to put it. We need more courage. And I do believe that Trump's numbers continue to fall. There's a New Yorker piece that came out a couple of days ago about, the sort of independent vote, the sort of live free or die vote really moving away from Trump. Especially, they believe there's a correlation between what's happening with ICE and this demographic. And the more that you can have people who actually have balls like Powell, stand firm and just call out the lies. And that's the last thing I'll say, right? There's Trump. We all know he's a bullshit artist. People know he's a con artist, but people also know he's a clown. People don't take him seriously. I think that we need to do a better job, and I feel like there have been folks, AOC in particular has been hitting JD Vance really hard this past couple of weeks, because JD Vance has tried to do cleanup after every single time Trump speaks, where we have to call out everyone around him. It's those fuckers are even worse than Trump. JD Vance, have you no fucking shame? All of these people who are bootlicking, just bootlicking sycophants, right? We have to put pressure on folks like Marco Rubio. We have to put pressure on people like Kristi Noem and these bootlicking bullshit artists need to also be called into the public consciousness. There has to be pressure on these folks because Trump is not going to be alive forever. I think this guy has got, number of days left, knock on wood. And it's not just Trump. It's like all of these charlatans around him. It's like a fucking...
Totally.
It's a clown.
That's such a good point. Like, we gotta start going after these guys in a very serious and meticulous way. And to your point, I think that they are running scared, right? I think that there's been an uptick already in preparations for the midterms where they're attempting to like decertify voting machines. We've already watched all last year when they were trying to change congressional maps, trying to change vote by mail regulations and rules. Trump recently, over the course of the last couple of days, floated the idea of canceling the elections, which we know he doesn't have the power to do unilaterally. But when has that ever stopped him from trying, right? And in addition to all these legal maneuvers that they're attempting on the federal level and the state level, this is also his narrative work, right? Sowing the seeds of disbelief and saying, these voting machines are a mess, starting that narrative early. This is something that Trump does extremely, extremely well, that Democrats need to get their act together around, which is time can be your enemy and time can be your ally. And Donald Trump is incredibly good at using time and making it his ally and starting narrative wars early, well before he needs them. Dig the well before you're thirsty. Donald Trump is going to be doing everything he can to be creating widespread, uniform opinion that unless the Republicans win the House again in the midterms, that the election results are invalid. And Democrats right now, to your point, can be attacking all the members of his cabinet, can be attacking all the talking heads and mouthpieces of Trump and MAGA and Trumpism, including Donald Trump himself, but really JD, really Marco, Kristi Noem, Pam Bondi, Cash, all these clowns, and building a cultural firewall so that when Americans interact with this narrative that Donald Trump is going to be pushing everywhere and pushing hard and pushing with a American flag behind his back, an octagon, a UFC fight on the South Lawn, and the NASCAR race going around the Capitol, and then, oh, by the way, infusing it into all these cultural products, this idea that if Democrats ever win an election, it means that they stole it. He's going to be working that all year. If we don't build a cultural firewall that helps protect and push back against that, we are going to have a really hard time no matter what happens. And so we have all these legal, policy, legislative attacks that are undergoing, but we've got to start doing the hearts, minds, and attitudinal work that only happens through narrative. Because even if we win, if people don't believe us and then we can't govern, what's the point?
I agree. I mean, the one good thing about this is I think that, and maybe this is just anecdotal from my perspective, but I do think that even folks like the Joe Rogans of the world and the Andrew Schultzes of the world have full on called bullshit on Trump. They almost make fun of Trump for continuing to say, I won that election. It's like, well, wait a second. So then you believe the election results when you win, but you didn't believe the election results when you got your ass kicked, right? And so, but you're 100% correct, which is there does need to be consistent culture, media content on this piece, right? And God bless the folks that have been working on gerrymandering. God bless all of the lawyers and also all of the organizations that just fully talk about like a whack-a-mole, right? But like Trump pops his head up. These fucking idiots say out loud, we're going to take these seats from Texas. And for the first time since I can remember, Democrats actually had balls to say, fuck you, we're going to do it too. Fuck you, this is some bullshit. And called the bluff and made real plans, right? To beat Republicans at undermining our actual elections and our actual election systems, right? Because a lot of that, in a previous iteration of the Democratic Party, you could see us spinning our wheels. You could see no Gavin Newsom and just kind of sitting back and being like, well, look, you can't do that. You can't do that. We're not going to do that. You can't do that. And so there is a version of that.
For Gavin Newsom, right? Like,
Exactly.
but for a small number of people who have just
Exactly.
been like, absolutely not. We're doing it a new way. Come with me. I mean, but for those guys, that's exactly what the party would be doing.
100%. And I feel like that is, to your point, right? Election integrity is such a really good point, which is something that they bring up all the time. And I think that there needs to be a strategic plan. You're right. There needs to be a messaging and strategic plan. Elizabeth Warren, God bless, speaking about messaging, gave a fucking barn burner of a speech. I believe the National Press Club, 10-minute speech a few days ago, where she actually called out Democrats, right? Which is chef's kiss. I know that there are a lot of people who hate when Twigg and I call out Democrats, but it's like, guys, this is the game we're playing here. We're on a team. And if our team does not get our shit together, we are going to lose. So what the fuck are we going to do here? Are we just going to sit idly by and let our leaders lead us into fucking defeat again? Or are we actually going to fucking stand up and say, here are the things that we need to do in order to win? And Elizabeth Warren, God bless, got up. She said some fucking names. She called out the DS. She called out some donors, Carri Twigg. Curious your thoughts on this. Called out Reid Hoffman, called out the donor class, holding the Democratic Party captive. And she got so fired up that President Trump called her the next day.
Well, because to be fair, Democratic donors, DS, she was giving it out freely, right?
True.
She was giving out a lot of smoke. But Donald Trump got the most of it. Like, the majority of her speech was like, this clown,
very good point,
has not lifted a pinky to do anything to fix affordability. And she's like, and we're going to be running on affordability. And like, any of the committees, any of the donors who thinks that's not what we should be running on, like, get out of my face. That's what we're running on. And Donald Trump hasn't done a thing to make life better for individuals when it comes to housing, when it comes to costs, when it comes to healthcare, when it comes to credit card interest rates, when it comes to fees, all of the things that Elizabeth Warren knows inside and out. And she had him shooketh.
She shook him.
He heard that. He heard that, and he took it personal.
He heard it. It's been, God bless Elizabeth Warren. I mean, look, I've been a long Elizabeth Warren stan. I'm not one of those people that still has like an I'm with Liz sticker, because those people exist in DC and God bless them. But I'm so glad she popped her head out. I'm so glad she's taking leadership. She sees the fact that she was able to call out the DSCC for their feeble leadership in this moment. And she's a member of the DSCC, right? Like, I think that we need more people like Elizabeth Warren. And you're totally right. I mean, the reason why Trump called her is because she really called him out on his promise to cap credit card interest rates, right? Like, that was a huge campaign promise from Trump. Hasn't lifted a finger. And so it seems to be that maybe there's bipartisan legislation, quote unquote, happening to make it happen, right? But we just need, again, that's what leadership looks like in this moment. And you're right, like, there have been glimpses. There's some brilliant glimpses in this first week, along with some really awful shit happening this first week.
Yeah.
But I'm curious how that plays out.
I want to point out one thing on the Elizabeth Warren thing, which actually speaks to something I was just saying, which is Donald Trump's really sophisticated ability to use consistent narratives and really stick with them and pull the threads of them, right? He calls Elizabeth Warren someone he has been wildly disparaging about in public life and in his political life, someone who he has an antagonistic relationship with, and her to him as well. He picks up the phone and he calls her, right? Carolyn Levitt then gets to say at the podium, well, he picked up the phone and called her, as he has proven over and over again, he will get on the phone with anyone who is willing to try and make things better. Therefore, like, being able to hijack the credit and the momentum and the action to actually take a step to make things better for people. And so one of the things that we don't do really well is that moment from Senator Warren is really exciting to all of us, but he does something which is really brilliant, which is he can co-opt a moment by participating in it in a way that's on his terms, and then having a narrative to spin. Should his base hear about the fact that Elizabeth Warren called him out, they're also going to hear that he immediately picked up the phone and called her. So he immediately gets to, which we know about him, right? Which his base knows about him, that he will talk to anybody, whether it's Bill Maher, whoever, anyone can come, he'll talk to anybody, Marjorie Taylor Greene, blah, 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 blah. This has been an ongoing narrative about Donald Trump. He will talk to anyone who is trying, who's down to help him make America great again. And so that is not something that we do really well. What's Elizabeth Warren's next step, right? So she did the first step, great. Then Donald Trump's going to co-opt it, take that victory, give him something a little bit for his, take something that she did, metastasize it into something that's actually for his base, that makes him look good. And then what, right? And so this is the importance of having these long-term continual narratives about not only your elected individuals, but your party overall. It's such a helpful narrative that Donald Trump has proven over and over again that he will pick up the phone. It is, people love that. We are all sick and tired of calling for customer service at Home Depot or wherever, and it's just like, there's a robot, there's a really terrible bot, you can't get somebody on the phone. If you can, they can't understand you, they can't help you. The idea that you can pick up and talk to the top dog is like delicious to people. And so we need to be thinking about like, what are our characteristics of our leadership and how does that turn into a narrative? And we have to get really serious about that and start offering that consistently to the base.
100%. It also just shows the Achilles heel too. It reveals, right? The fact that Warren went so in the paint on affordability, and because like that is the one thing that Trump has continued to promise pre-campaign while he's been president, that costs are going to go down, things are going to be cheaper. There's these things called grocery stores, and they have groceries at the grocery stores, and all of these things are going to come down. And I'm going to help you make life more affordable. And the fact that none of these things have come true. And the fact that Elizabeth Warren has just like, boop, boop, none of this shit that this guy said was going to happen is happening. Right?
Oh, it's fragile.
It's so great. And again, like to your point, it shows the, God, I hate using the term brilliance, but I'm going to say it. Like, it shows the brilliance of Donald Trump calling Elizabeth Warren the next day. Like, I wonder would Barack Obama call Lindsey Graham if he gave a 10-minute grandstanding speech on like an Achilles heel of President Obama? Hell no, he's not going to do that, right?
No.
But Trump knows he's on the ropes. I mean, there's two things here. One, Trump is clearly at the end of his fucking rope with like slapping his name on shit, just like wiling out. This dude is like, my man is at the like season ending arc of his legacy, right? And number two, it's like he still has it, Twig. Like he still knows when shit is gonna like work. And the fact that he was able to recognize, the fact he's able to recognize like, oh, I gotta nip this in the bud. I gotta call her. I gotta like rush to do this credit card cat bill, which God bless. I mean, if that does actually happen, that's huge. Do I think it's actually going to happen? Absolutely not. Right? Like they're going to figure out some way to blame Democrats for it not passing, right? They're going to like have some like, who knows, some poison pill in the bill and then blame Democrats for it not passing. But it's just very smart of Trump to say, I'm with Liz. We do need to cap credit card. Like I am working on this.
Totally.
And we just need to be careful. Again, this is the thing. Like Democrats continue, even after Trump whooping our asses 2 times, we continue to underestimate this guy.
Yeah.
And
for sure.
Don't have strategic leadership, when you have fucking idiots like Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer leading this party, like where was this speech? Like speaking of leadership, why why did Elizabeth Warren need to step out and do this a year after inauguration? You know what I mean?
Well, why isn't it happening all the time?
And why isn't it happening all the time?
Exactly. You know what I mean? It's just sort of like, and it's at the National Press Club. It's like, couldn't be more insider. It couldn't be less of a venue that anybody cares about outside of the 202. It's just sort of a whole thing. But
it worked, though. I have to give credit to Warren. It worked, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. But the thing is, again, but it's like, what comes next? Yeah, we don't live in a media economy where one thing is going to get a job done. Like every single day. This is a 365 conversation. So great. Now that you have this moment, like, how are we building? What are the next appearances? Where is she showing up? How is it working? She was on Michael Lewis's podcast a couple months ago. It's fantastic. Yeah. Like, she's so good. So, like, where's the road show?
Yes.
And where does that all come in? And like, where's the videos we're releasing? Where's the follow doc that we're releasing? Where is the countdown clock about how many days since their phone call till the passage of this bill that's just counting up and up and up and up and up, right? Like, what is the shtick? I mean, I know everybody hates gimmicks, but like, welcome to reality. This is where we are. Like, what is happening next to keep this at the forefront, keep momentum on our side?
It's not a gimmick, though. I mean, this is the plan. This is a media strategy for every single piece of content or media or IP in America. There is a strategy, right? There's a strategy of how do you get this product out into the American marketplace, right? The marketplace of ideas. And, you know, speaking of getting it out there, like, why isn't Warren on Bowen Yang's podcast? Bowen stepped into some hot water this past week.
So what happened? I love Bowen. You know, I love Bowen.
I love Bowen Yang as well. I've actually I know a lot of the Asians. I know a lot of Asian celebrities. I've never met Bowen Yang. Huge fan.
I know Bowen. We used to appear on the show together.
There we go.
But but I didn't hear what happened. I do listen to his podcast, but I haven't listened to this episode. So what happened? Matt Rogers said something about Jasmine?
You got to watch this episode. I texted Twigg this morning, and she was like, "Oh, I completely missed this." So, the pod is what, Las Culturistas? Is that the pod?
Mm-hmm. Las Culturistas.
Which, again, speaking of culture, right? Like, Twigg and I talk about this all the time. How do we get media savvy, creative geniuses like a Bowen Yang to talk culture and politics? How do we get people who, this is what they do for a living, how do we get them to be introducing and educating, you know, the millions of listeners and followers on the importance of the midterms, the importance of these primaries, like why elections matter, yada, yada, yada. So Bowen and what's his co-host's name? Matt Rogers. They kind of go through a state of play, right, with the Democratic Party. You would take great offense, Carrie Twigg, at their thoughts on Gavin Newsom, which I will let you.
They don't like him?
No, not a big fan of the Gav, which is interesting, which is very interesting.
All right. I respect divergent opinions.
Yeah, well, this is the whole point. This is the whole point. It's okay, guys. It's okay to have an opinion. It's okay to not like a particular candidate or a particular elected official. It's okay to offer those thoughts. The thing that I think they're getting really hit for is that they're, you know, and again, I don't know how they do their segment breakdowns. I don't know their outlining process for their podcast. I don't know if it's similar to Twigg and Jenkins, but it was, they kind of talked quickly about the race in Texas, and they kind of glossed over. They were like, we don't know much about James Tolorico, but he seems to be doing a really great job of connecting with people, right? Like, they kind of glossed over Tolorico, and they kind of went hard in the paint on how they feel like Jasmine Crockett's electability in Texas seems to be a lost cause. And they pointed to Beto, and they pointed to Jasmine being a divisive figure. and that people should not donate to Jasmine Crockett. People should not support Jasmine Crockett because we've done this before. We've given Beto, I mean, how much money did Beto raise last cycle? Something like $80 million from small dollar donations only to lose by 15 points, right? So the Twitterati, the
kind of
left,
shocked that they would be so pointed.
well, it was interesting, right? Exactly. And that was the part where, you know what, Bowen and Matt, you guys should come on the Twigg and Jenkins pod. I loved it. Like, even though I didn't necessarily agree with everything that they were saying, and it seemed to be very surface level, it seemed to be like the kind of conversation you have at the cocktail bar at the Golden Globes. You know what I mean?
In
like
LA, yeah.
in LA.
Sure.
It's an LA conversation, which is to say, oh yeah, she can't win. It's like, all right, bro, but like, why? Why do you think that? Because she's actually polling ahead of Tolerica right now. So that, I don't know that that's a good argument. Okay, well, Beto.
Well, with what, primary voters?
Right, exactly. Yeah, it's primary voters, but still, like, there's context setting that was not happening on this podcast. It was a lot of kind of broad strokes, and then they kind of went on to the next thing. And the response, Twig, was fierce, right? Like, Black Twitter had wanted no parts of this. There was a lot of claims of racism, which, again, you know, your tolerance level may vary on people on Twitter calling Bowen Yang a racist, but like, people leapt to real dumb steps in logic on the motivations for Bowen and Matt, which from my perspective are like two awesome humans who care, who are offering some thoughts, offering some takes, and they just need to do a little bit of a better job at like researching those takes, right? And like thinking about the other side. If you're going to talk about Tolerico, don't be like, we don't know much about this James Tolerico guy, but don't donate to Jasmine Crockett. It's like, you know, I don't know.
Listen, they can say whatever they want so long as they're prepared. So long as they're prepared to deal with the smoke that comes afterwards, right? Like,
exactly.
So long as you are prepared for what happens next,
right?
Say it, baby. Say it. I don't have a problem with that.
They were not prepared, and so apologies.
So they apologized.
They apologized, you know, and again, but this is the thing that kind of annoys me about this whole thing, which is I actually want more of these conversations. I want people like Bowen Yang to talk about the Texas Democratic primary. I don't want this to be a chilling effect of like, oh, actors aren't allowed to talk about politics.
No.
Bowen and Matt like created a culture award, right? Where they're literally like awarding people.
Award show.
Yeah.
Like, they are incredibly, incredibly successful and powerful, and they're brilliant. And Bowen is like a genius.
100%. This should not be, that's the thing I want to say. Like, it sounds like I'm kind of piling on them. I'm not. What I'm saying is like, if you're gonna do it though, if you're gonna kind of like put your foot in, to your point, you got to be prepared for the sort of backlash. And so then you just either have folks on, right, who can help sort of like translate some of this stuff, people who are experts in the field, or like, you know, and this is coming from someone who Twig and I do an outline 5 seconds before our podcast, but like do a little bit of research before you jump into the fray, because that race is very heated. It's really important. It's probably one of the most important Democratic primaries, in my opinion, of this upcoming election. And it is, like, you and I, we talked about how we feel torn about this primary. And so you just have to know that. You have to sort of know going into these conversations what you're stepping into. You know what I mean? And I hope that this doesn't have a chilling effect on folks like Bowen and others. You should be allowed to just go off and have a hot take. Do it. Be prepared, though, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that's the big point. It's just like, we're out of, you know, we can't have it, like, Democratic people who support the left, you can't have it both ways. You can't want these cultural figures to participate in politics and be bringing attention and then completely roll them over the coals if they espouse an opinion that you don't like or even is outside of their area of expertise.
Right.
It's okay. It's all right. I'm not an expert in all sorts of areas of politics. Like, there's no problem. And yeah, it doesn't mean I won't have an opinion on it. It doesn't mean I haven't self-selected to share my opinions with whoever and the internet. And like, come for me if you think that that means that I shouldn't be allowed to talk about these things. I'm not an expert in any number of things that I opine about in public. And the reality is, like, the best case scenario for the left, for the issues we care about, are that Bo and Yang and Matt Rogers are bringing their massive audience along into a more quotidian, day-by-day participation in politics. And the fact that that conversation happened in January of 2026, months and months and months before people start making those decisions, is a fantastic thing. And so I'm sorry for them that if the experience has been hard or really negative or led to a lot of backlash, because they, in my opinion, regardless of whether they had the sophisticated analysis that perhaps we would love for them to have, or they weighed the pros and cons of one candidate or another, or text or another, or whatever, like, they did everything right. They did exactly what I want people with cultural influence to be doing, which is participating, sharing, ideally getting some more constructive feedback about, like, hey, here's another way to think about this campaign and this race, and maybe share that next episode, as opposed to getting their slapped across the face metaphorically and then just being like, fine, I'm out. Like, that's just not constructive. That's not helpful. These guys are really, really smart. They understand the culture. They understand narrative. They have a massive audience and platform of people we want more participating more, not less. And so, you know, I hope this doesn't have that chilling effect, because I'd love for these guys to be out there. Bowen, I'm pretty sure, like, canvas for Kamala, like, these guys are in it, and they're entitled to have an opinion. I wouldn't disagree. I actually don't think that Jasmine is going to have much success statewide in Texas. Like, sorry. Yeah. It's Texas. The general election is not something that has borne fruit yet for Democrats that Jasmine identifies with. Sorry.
Yes, I agree with all of that. And for the folks, you know, look, so much of this too, whenever you see the tweets, whenever you see the aggregators doing their Bo and Yang gets destroyed on the internet, and then it's like a slideshow of screenshots of tweets, it's like, are 80% of these tweets bots? Are these even real people, right? Like, what is this? Here? And so it clearly resonated enough to elicit a response, but I agree with you. I hope that this lights a fire. I hope it has the opposite effect. I hope it lights a fire under those guys. And to have, you know, now that sort of, you know, this has been opened up, like, have Jasmine on, have Tolerico on. You know what I mean? Like, we need more spaces like that pod for people like Jasmine and James to go on. We have so few of them already, right? So let this be a weird opportunity, right? Like, view this as an
and
entry
Jasmine's point. Sorry, I'm not supposed to crosstalk.
No, you're good. Go.
One of Jasmine's team's smart. Jasmine reaches out to them and is like, hey guys, like, I would love to come on and explain why I think you're wrong. Like, 100%. Saw what happened. Don't even worry about it. I hear you. There's validity in that point of view, but it's not right. So let me explain to you why you're wrong. And let me explain to you why, like, I'm going to charm the pants and hats and spurs off everybody in Texas, and why the numbers are there for me to win, and go and make your case. I would listen to the hell out of that. I would love to hear that. Like,
she should do it.
She should totally do it.
She should totally do it. Speaking of Hollywood, Twig, did you watch the Globes? Are you a Golden Globes fan? Maybe we start there. Are you a Golden Globes fan? Are you
I am an award show fan. I love award shows, mostly for the fashion, mostly for the dresses. Yes. But I think as I've gotten more and more into entertainment, it is really interesting to watch sort of what gets awarded and what doesn't, mostly because of how manufactured so much of it is. Yes. And how artificial it is and how it just sort of manufactures celebrity for certain people over others. And there's this whole sort of dynamic that's at play that you feel very tapped into in LA. That people vote for the people that they like versus necessarily some sort of objective or even often subjective assessment of the work being really good. There's obviously things that defy that, examples that defy that, but it is very much a political, it's like a game. It's like very much a political game.
Yes.
And so the Golden Globes, perhaps more than any other awards show, maybe the Critics' Choice Awards, which has nothing to do with critics. But the Golden Globes is very much like 400 people, not even, probably it's the Hollywood Foreign Press Association, owned by this billionaire, Jay Penske, who have decided to throw themselves a self-congratulatory party and make it really fancy and like in no way reflects in any sort of meritocracy or democracy about Hollywood. And so from that sort of political analysis and the dresses, I'm obsessed.
I love it. I feel like it's Hollywood at its best because, like, let's just be real. There is no meritocracy in Hollywood, right? Like, it's all pay to play. It's all it's all bullshit to begin with.
Like every other industry, there's less and less and less. Like,
yeah.
I mean, I would argue that there were absolutely it was far more meritocratic. Am I saying this right? It was far more of a meritocracy 20, 30 years ago than it is today. I mean, it is incredibly, incredibly hard today. You even think about the people, like go watch a great movie from the 80s, right? Everyone looked different. Bunch of people who were stars were not like hot in the conventional sense of the word. They were just like interesting to look at. They were really talented. They were really funny. They were really smart. They could transform or they could blend in. Like it was just a totally different thing. And there's much less of that happening now.
I was surprised. This has to be one of the most star-studded Globes in recent memory, from my perspective. Like, you had everyone. You had Julia Roberts, you had Leo, you had Clooney. I mean, I've remembered Golden Globe years where there's not any celebrities there, and I found that interesting. I mean, a lot of it comes down to the films that are nominated, but I feel like there have been recent years
There's
where there
always been stars at the Golden Globes.
Shortage of stars.
Well, because it got boycotted. No, it went away.
Yeah.
So the Golden Globes in 2020 was outed as having 0 Black voting members, right? It was like 78 dudes, people who had Hollywood Foreign Press Association had just self-selected to put this thing in. There's no Black people, very few non-white men in this voting body. That wasn't going to fly, so they canceled it. Everyone started boycotting it. Right. You may remember from one of my previous rants about why I love Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise like gave back his Golden Globes and was like, I'm not going, unless you fix this. And so he was the first domino to fall. Everyone abandoned the Golden Globes. Nobody was going to go. So they didn't even throw the Golden Globes. Goes into bankruptcy. Jay Penske buys the Golden Globe property, strikes a deal with David Ellison, who you've been hearing me talk about ad nauseum, to put this on CBS and Paramount Plus and revive the Golden Globes. Jay Penske also owns Variety, also owns Deadline, IndieWire, so all the major trade press for Hollywood. So now it's this total closed loop of attention, of press, of notoriety, of success, and now awards. So it's just totally manufactured. Yeah. But they throw a good show.
What were your thoughts on the show? I thought Nikki was. I'm a fan of Nikki Glaser. I thought she was good. I think that my favorite era of the Globes was the Ricky Gervais era, where it was like he's up there with a beer, just making fun of every single person in the room. There's a little bit of that. There's a little bit of that vibe in the room. Shouts to our girl Wanda Sykes for just completely shitting on Bill Maher. Like, that was,
to his face,
of the moments for the Golden Globes. Like, I literally will want, I like, of how much I hate Bill Maher, I want to even just make a clip of me saying, God bless you,
Do
Wanda
it.
Sykes. You were an American hero. And go fuck yourself, Bill Maher. That was a
Do
beautiful
it.
moment.
Do it.
But beyond that, Twig, what were some of your, speaking of executives, I mean, that was interesting. Seeing everyone there, right? Seeing where they're seated, seeing, you
There's all
know,
sorts of politics about that.
all of the politics. I mean, Ellison, it didn't seem like he had a prime seat. It
He
seemed like
chose
he
his
was
seat.
like,
He was
he
sitting
chose a seat.
exactly where he wanted to sit.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah.
He's like basically he's the broadcaster. He could have
Yeah. It's
picked
like
any
his show.
seat. It's his show.
Yeah.
It's on his network. He could have
Right.
sat anywhere he wanted.
Right.
So he very obviously chose that seat.
Right.
And so yeah, I don't know that there's much to read into that other than maybe he's shy or just like didn't want to talk to people or wanted to be far away from Ted Sarandos. I really don't know. But yeah, I thought the things that were really interesting were, I thought Nikki was fine. It's a tough gig. Hosting these things is really hard. I'm partial to the Tina Fey, Amy Poehler era of the hosting. But I thought Nikki did a great job. She changed her outfit like 37 times. Amazing. I would do the exact same thing. The weird UFC thing.
So weird.
That was really strange. But again, now that, you know, David Ellis and Dana White have this big deal to have UFC on Paramount Plus, you get to promo your new hot, shiny toy. I mean, the room just seems silent. The room was just like, what is happening? Who are these people? And like, these are really big celebrities, right? So the UFC fighters that they had come out are like very well known, but nobody in the Hollywood room knew who they were, which was very, very interesting. I think for me, you know, my two favorite films of the year, Sinners and One Battle After Another, both won awards. I think it's just a tough year for them to be head to head. I would love to see Ryan Coogler win Best Picture or Best Director or something. It's just going to be hard against Paul Thomas Anderson this year. So, you know, bummer. But I thought overall it was, again, a lesson in the fact that we watch these things as this meritocratic process, but it's really, really not, right? It is a closed loop of decision making about who gets to have these platforms in these stages. I also thought that there was, I'm sure you got the emails too, there was this big push to do some activist and organizing at the Golden Globes around what was happening in Minneapolis, specifically with the Be Good campaign in response to the murder of Renee Good. And so you saw one or two, including Wanda, celebs with, or at least I didn't see that many. It didn't seem to, I don't know if they didn't have enough time to organize.
There were like a half a dozen, I think. I think there were like a half a dozen.
It just didn't quite take off the way they wanted it to. But the Be Good lapel pin didn't quite land.
I think it all depends on your frame of reference. I thought that
your algorithm.
My algorithm fed it to me immediately, of course, in multiple ways. And I think that, and that's the point, right? I think that a lot of times these lapel pins or these, you know, signs of allyship are meant for the actual community, right? It's a show of standing up for and not forgetting. Ruffalo did a really good job, I thought, of contextualizing the evening. There's a really great interview he had where he was like, this interviewer was like, so Mark, are you having a good time? And he literally was like, actually, no. Yeah. The world's on fire. This is weird. He's like, it's weird being here. You know, he's like, this is awful. What's happening in our country is awful. And it was just like such a great, again, like this is why God bless fucking Mark Ruffalo. What a gem of a human. But like, you just need that, like puncturing of the bubble of, to your point, this is all manufactured. And in large respects, as much as I love these award shows, it's all a distraction, right? And in many respects, like some of the people that are kind of the worst purveyors of what's happening in our politics are in that room, right? Like the Ellisons, right? So it's it's tricky. It's tricky to navigate a night like that. And I think that, Hollywood, it's almost like you could place bets on like how many political speeches are going to be given, in their acceptance speeches. There have been previous years, speaking of Ricky Gervais, who have said like, leave your politics at the door. Don't bring your fucking politics to the stage. And there wasn't, I don't know. I don't know if you agree. I watched most of the show, but I didn't feel like there were a lot of political speeches. I think people kind of steered clear of what's happening with ICE, what's happening in Venezuela, right? What's happening with this fascist government. And a lot of times we do look to our creative heroes to be that voice of like, we tell stories to connect people. We need people connected now more than ever. And that sort of connection wasn't taking place. I think, in my opinion, the thing that I hated the most about the Globes is Sinners was, for the most part, totally shut out.
Yeah.
Right. And
yeah.
I think it was by far one of the best films of the year. I think there's so many categories in which it could have won. I agree with you that One Battle is incredible, but like, I find it striking that the owner of the Globes, the new owner of the Globes, is the same guy that was shitting on Sinners in its opening weekend, right? Like Variety and the Trades, right? So like this ecosystem, it's not great, Twig. It's not
none of it's great.
It's not great.
It's not great. Bro, you gotta get out of here. It's time to pick up Os.
I gotta go pick up Oscar, but we have to close. The one thing I loved, and we talked briefly about it when it was announced, but Carrie Twigg, the first podcast award at the Golden Globes.
Amy Poehler.
Incredible that it's Amy. Incredible that it's our friends at The Ringer. Also, this podcast has been alive for like 8 months, so God bless her. I also love, not to get
Which is
petty
really
here,
a testament to the fact that people just voted for her because they like her.
Exactly.
It's like it's not like the best podcast. It's not like the best like pioneer. Like
Right.
as though she pushed the forum forward. Like everyone just is obsessed with Amy Poehler, rightly so.
Incredible. I also love the self-deprecating joke where she's like, I'm glad that NPR didn't win. Those like posers that are actual journalists.
Exactly.
Very self-aware of Amy. But congrats to The Ringer. Congrats to Amy Poehler. I also kind of love, not to be petty here, but like her husband has like one of the top podcasts in the country.
Ex-husband.
Oh, what did I say?
You said her husband, her ex-husband.
I'm sorry. Yes, of course. Her ex-husband, Smartless, has been on for how many years? It's been like a number one podcast in the country. And I love that Amy just kind of swooped in.
I bet that group chat was amazing.
We love this. We love this for Amy. Carrie Twigg, what are you going to wear to the Golden Globes next year when Twigg and Jenkins is nominated? Like,
this is the question.
Yeah, we got to like
preparing all year.
Are we going to wear lapel pins? What's going to be our whole strategy? We got to start preparing now.
Hopefully there's not some tragedy. Jesus.
Carrie Twigg, I've missed you. I'm glad you're healthy.
You too, man.
We're going to be back at it. Twigg, are you going to go to Sundance, by the way? We have not caught up on this. Are you going or
not to go. No.
You're not going to go.
I pulled the plug. Yeah. Okay. There's just not enough that I need to haul myself all the way out there.
There's so many things. The only thing I just spoke to our friends over at TAF is like, this is the last year in Utah. There's like there's no snow. Part of me,
But Park City, like I don't want to go out there unless I can snowboard, and there's no snow.
There's no snow.
If it like dumps in the next week, I'll reconsider. But
you're in.
Twigg and Jenkins, follow us on YouTube, like and subscribe on Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you so much for listening. We're also on IG where we post a bunch of clips. Get in the comments. Let us know what you think. Let us know any questions you have, your take on Jasmine Crockett controversy.
Send us an email too. We got some emails, and like we love every one of those emails. What's the Twigg and Jenkins email again?
Twigg and Jenkins podcast at Gmail.
Yeah, tell us what you think. Tell us if you think that Carrie Twigg is wrong and Jasmine Crockett can win. Just like put it on blast.
Love to be wrong.
We'll read some emails,
I would love to be wrong. All right, thank you. Twigg and Jenkins is produced by Elizabeth Joy Wyndham, Erica Anderson, Rachel Najan, and Nicole Gillespie, and is a production of Culture House Media and Enfranchisement Productions. Thank you so much. Adios.
Talk to you guys soon.